Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Arts and Culture Commission, the new and improved Arts and Culture Commission, may I add. May I have a roll call, please?
Commissioners Deaver.
Here.
Chair Hovhanessian.
Here.
Gregorian.
Here.
Lee.
Here.
Chairperson Kavanian.
Here.
The agenda for the June 21st meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside City Hall on June 15th, 2012. Item 2, consent items. At A, approval of regular meeting minutes from March 15th, 2012.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioners Deaver.
Yes.
Chair Hovhanessian.
Yes.
Gregorian.
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
Chairperson Kavanian.
Yes.
Item 3, introductions and presentations. At 3A, Glendale Youth Alliance Art Exhibition Fundraiser and Upcoming Luncheon presented by Karina Gregorian, Community Development Supervisor, and Rita Hajmanukian, GYA Board Member and Field Deputy of Supervisor Michael D. Antonovich.
Should we wait for Karina?
We can start with
Yeah.
Rita, and then if Karina joins.
Okay.
Well, as she said, I am a representative for Supervisor Mike Antonovich, and on behalf of the supervisor, we really appreciate the good work that you do for the city of Glendale. But today I'm here specifically as the former chair of the Glendale Youth Alliance because the Arts and Culture Commission was such an integral part of our very first art exhibit. Your contributions made the event a great success. I'd like to point out Commissioner Razmi Gregorian, who made personal phone calls to artists to ask them to donate, who was so generous, who actually purchased several arts from our event. And I'd really like to recognize Ripsime, who completely held the GYA staff's hand. I mean, she directed us, taught us, set it up, advertised it. It was just a great partnership with all of you, and we really appreciate all your help. We had 33 artists who participated and 73 art pieces. GYA was able to raise $10,000 from this first ever event. Due to the success of the event and the interest from the artists and community members, the GYA board has decided to hold this art exhibit as an annual event. We hope to continue working with the Commission and this invaluable partnership to raise awareness of the arts in the community and to raise funds for a really great cause. We'd also like to invite the entire Commission to our annual awards luncheon, which will be July 11th at Anush Banquet Hall on Glen Oaks at 11:30. And the executive director of the GYA, Karina, should be here shortly with flyers for you so you can all mark your calendars. We'd love for you to join us. We love this partnership and sincerely appreciate all of your efforts. So thank you very much.
Thank you for coming. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Questions, comments? Well, we appreciate you coming here. We really enjoy partnering up with such wonderful community active groups. And again, thank you very much for the invitation. Commissioner Gregorian?
Well, following up my colleagues' comments, I really appreciate the work that this organization does, not only developing and trying to promote art, but also especially for what they do for the youth in this city. And I think, providing them with, opportunities and training and jobs and all that. I have had opportunities to use some of their services in the past, and they're absolutely outstanding and very good work that you do. So, art is just a little part of it, I understand, but overall the organization is, outstanding, and I commend everybody, for, yes, Sorry for the slip.
Yeah.
Sorry for the slip.
That's okay.
Yes, I commend everybody for all the hard work that they're doing, and I also appreciate your kind words about, my involvement in that. I just thought that not only the art pieces were very nice, and I would love to have them as an art collector, but also that was a good contribution, at least from my part, to give something back to the community and to your good organization. So, again, I thank you for your kind words.
It's so appreciated. It's truly appreciated. And the GYA also partners with the city. And I mean, GYA has completely cleared the brush of the city for fire safety. And it is a great organization that we're all very proud of and really sincerely appreciative of your support. And we look forward to next year.
If there are any additional things that Karina Grigorian might add, maybe we could just hold this off for later when she arrives.
I'm okay with that as well, yeah.
Okay.
That would be great. I'm going to cut out, but I'm sure Karina will be here, and she'd be happy to answer any of your questions. And thank you for attending, Arlette. She's been a great cheerleader of the organization as well. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next, at 3B, the July 4th Words of American Patriots art installation in the Adams Square Mini Park, presented by artist Michael Sheehan.
Whether I'm an artist or not is still in question. Thanks to you and to the movement of the city of Glendale to make available, as Mr. Duran has said, the gas station in Adams Square Mini Park for art. After 4 years, it's happening again. And so I'm here to ask you kindly to not let 4 years go by before something else happens in there after this 4th of July thing. I'm also here to invite each of you to attend the opening reception, which will be on Sunday, July 4th, 2012, from 4 until 7 o'clock. There will be lemonade and cookies. To see 60 pieces of art made by artists from the age of 5 to 88, from as far away as New York City and New Orleans and Chicago, to local artists who are within the sound of my voice. And so if you have questions, I'd be happy to field them. I'm here to report to you that there hasn't been one glitch. And if you believe that, then I should probably be running for office. So, if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them for you.
What would you attribute that no glitch statement?
When you're dealing with 60 people, half of whom you don't know, the opportunity for misunderstanding is available, even though I think I'm a decent communicator. But everything's just fine. It's just really great. No, it really is. And yes, Mr. Lee.
What was the hours again?
From 4 o'clock in the afternoon until 7. And because parking in our neighborhood is somewhat limited, if you do decide to come, find a way to park a couple of blocks away and walk in. Because it's a Sunday and the holiday is coming up, parking might be an issue. But hopefully, and I have to say that Ripsmi Marshanian, whose name I've learned how to say without stumbling, has been so helpful that I'm just knocked out by all the work that she's done. And I also promised Emily Goff at Daly High School, who has been really cooperative and helpful, rounding up her students to make panels for this. And if you don't remember, the panels for this exhibit will be 18 inches by 24 inches. There are 60 of them, hanging 15 to a side on each of the 4 sides of the gas station, with the words of American Patriots that hopefully most of you will recognize. And it'll be a celebration of art and hopefully of the 4th of July.
Just a point of clarification, you said the date was on Saturday?
Did I say Saturday?
Yeah.
Sunday.
Yeah, but the 4th of July is on a Wednesday.
Well, it's the 4th of July.
Okay.
It'll be a
I just
time
wanted to
when there
make
might
sure,
be
okay.
people who are not working. And so I'm trying to avoid people having parking problems. But it's on Sunday, July 1st from 4 to 7.
First, okay.
At the gas station.
I must have misheard you. I heard 4th. My sirens went off. That's the day I'm leaving for
July
Italy.
4th is the name of the event.
Right, got it. Just making sure.
Mr. Sheehan, we are very glad that, city could accommodate and, in collaboration, we were able to make
It's not
this
exactly a collaboration, but collaborating with the city has been happening, yeah.
happen. Thank you. That's wonderful. So we hope in the future we also will be able to do much more for you.
Thank you.
And I just want to say that I'm looking forward to the unveiling for sure. I'm glad that it was able to move forward, and thank you for taking it on, because I do know that it's quite a feat, as you say, to be coordinating with 60 different people across the country to be putting together these artworks. So I think it's terrific. Definitely looking forward to it. Just to clarify again, so July 1st from 4 to 7, and the crossroads are, I believe, around Adams and Palmer in the mini park there. Is
It's
that right?
1020 East Palmer. I found out that the park actually has an address. It's at the corner of Palmer and Adams in Adams Hill.
Great.
Oh, and finally, I want to welcome on behalf of every artist in Glendale and surrounding, wherever we're surrounding, Cindy Cleary, because she's been really nice to me in the past, and hopefully we can be partnering for a lot of good stuff happening. So congratulations. I think this is a good move for all of us. Am I done?
Yes, Commissioner Gregorian?
I asked you that question. It wasn't a rhetorical question. I think one of the reasons for the success is not only because of the theme, which is really good, and also because of how you handled all these 60 various people from all over the place. And I've said this before, your perseverance and persistence has paid off. And if it has been that smooth, that means there is something really good quality in all your organizational skills also. So, I appreciate that, and I thank you on behalf of the community, because this is something that I think we are all proud of, the 4th of July event and all the things that you have done. So I thank you again.
Well, thank you very much. The goal, of course, is to have other exhibits after this one, that this one would be priming the pump.
Commissioner Lee?
I just hope you're available to assist anybody else who wants to put something there or at any facility. So since you know the ropes now, how to maneuver around, so I'm hoping you can pass on that expertise.
Volunteerism is one way that we get around this business of saying we don't have any money. Terry and I were talking about money. I may have spent or will have spent maybe $100 on this out of my own pocket, and joyfully. But at my day rate as an actor, I could have paid off my house. And so if we get other folks like your volunteers to volunteer and to come forward and to have ideas and to get around the stumbling blocks of the supposed tos and the rules and the stuff that are frustrating to me, then stuff not only in the gas station but all over Glendale can maybe be bumped up. And a good start would be the lobby down here, which is really boring. So I just encourage you to encourage others to come forward. And volunteerism is not dead yet. And so, to answer your question, I can be had.
Thank you.
So you would be known as the patron of the Adams Square gas station.
I can't accept that. No. I'm a guy that lives in Adams Hill and just wants to have something in there besides those really boring banners. Okay?
It's a good start. July 4th is a good start then.
Yes, done it.
Say that again.
July 4th event is a good start.
Well,
to change that,
hopefully, yeah.
In your words, the boring image into something nice and exciting.
Well, hopefully, we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Mr. Sheehan, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate all your hard work.
I appreciate your appreciation.
And very quickly, what really makes an artist is not talent or anything like that. It's perseverance. That's really what makes an artist.
It's testament to that, yeah.
Nothing else, really. So thank you for being an artist.
Are you telling that I still have some hope to become an artist one day?
What I'm saying is that we all have hope.
Next, at 3C GAA Spring Salon Art Exhibition, presented by Dick Heimbold, President of the Glendale Arts Association.
Thank you. It's nice to be here again. I know some of you, and good to see you all, and hope to meet the rest of you, maybe before the day is done. Anyway, I want to say a few words about the Glendale Art Association. We have a little video, which we worked on last night to make sure it runs smoothly, and then I'll take a few questions. The Glendale Art Association is an old organization in this town since 1922, I believe. We're on an upsurge again. We're climbing. With our membership, I think we have 95 paid members today. We put on 2 big shows a year. Last fall, we had our fall salon, and I know Ripsamy and Razmik were there. I think it was a terrific event. We just had a spring salon in Silver Lake, and I'm going to show you a video of that, not red, in a minute. And with the notion that it would be nice to have had that spring salon here in Glendale. It was a nice event, and our club, by the way, in its bylaws, has a goal to support art scholarships for high school students. I was at Hoover High a few weeks ago for their awards evening. We gave 3 art scholarships away, and it was really a treat to talk with the parents of the people who won them and how they can put that money to good use. So that's what we do. We have paint-outs here in town, 2 of them a month, and we paint here locally and in neighboring communities. We were in Unity Day last year. We had a booth. We have displayed work in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. They have nice concerts, and we were in their courtyard displaying some artwork, which is fun too. Anyway, our goal is to be an active part of the art community here, and I think at this juncture we will show the video. It's only 2 minutes. That's harp music by the musician that was at the reception. We had about 70 artists, about 300 artworks. Some examples, we had 7 categories of art, including photography and sculpture. A few more paintings. Examples, sculpture. We had a great atmosphere there. We think we had about 250 people show up. It was a lot of fun. I like these events because there's a chance that people in the community come and schools with each other and enjoy the art. We gave it a lot of prizes. We gave out 7 categories plus ribbons, about $1,500 altogether. The members made gourmet food for the public. It was appreciated. We made food for 250 people. It was all eaten. The harpists, whose music you're hearing. We had a demonstrator, Okafor, very lively, fun demonstration of print making from line types. Magoo, sketch artist, just that guy we had last fall. We had 5 sponsors. For our spring show, we've already started on getting more sponsorships so we can increase the size of our scholarship fund. We were in Silver Lake at this terrific space made available by the City Bank of Silver Lake. It's 5,000 square feet. We made a donation to the Silver Lake Library as a gesture of community support. About 20 people on our team, most of whom are there. Next year, we'd like to do it in Glendale. Now, I know I mentioned with Ripsamy before that we would like to have a nice art venue here for larger art shows, and we'll continue working with all of you, hoping we can meet that goal. Because with this sort of event, we're a Glendale club, and it would be nice to have it centered in Glendale, and the beneficiaries of our donations would go to Glendale institutions like high school students. Anyway, that's about it, and if you have some questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Commissioner Deaver?
I wasn't able to attend the opening, but I did get to make it over there before the closing of the show, and I thought it was fantastic. It's a great array of artists of a variety of disciplines. I have a lot of admiration for your organization and the longevity and what you do for your members and for the community as well, and share your hope that you can be doing these types of events here in Glendale, and we can help work towards finding a location or working towards some larger goal in the future, perhaps even a finding space that can be utilized for groups like yourselves that need temporary formal sort of display space of that nature. I think it's hugely important and certainly missing from the city of Glendale currently.
Great, appreciate that.
Commissioner Gorgon?
Yes, I have to follow my colleagues' comments and also add, it was a terrific show, very talented artists, and as you know, I really appreciate you personally and your organization overall. My question was that did you try anywhere in Glendale, let's say like the Civic Auditorium for that time or somewhere, and were there any problems, or you just the timing and whatever else was where it was? Because I obviously would have liked to see the Glendale Arts Association with all the Glendale artists to have their exhibition in Glendale. And I would really like to see how we could help you and cooperate together to make sure that we don't go to anywhere outside Glendale for this kind of terrific exhibitions. So what were the problems? Why did you go to Silver Lake?
Working with Ripsome, we tried the Armenian Cultural Association, the new building. That didn't work out. And we thought of the Civic Auditorium, but I haven't seen it, but I understand the lighting is just not right for it. I think a great place was the Neon Museum. There, the shows were held for the Art from the Ashes and the Inspire show. I was lucky enough to be in both of them, sold a couple paintings. And I thought that was a terrific space. So, but then I inquired about that, and it turned out it wasn't available at the time. I don't know what its status is now, but to me that would be a great place because it's on Brand Boulevard, it's near the Americana, it's in the center of town, there's plenty of sidewalk traffic for people coming in. Another thought, I submitted a proposal to Gate, I guess a couple of years ago, and I mentioned the Versailles Gallery next to the Alex Theater. I have no idea who owns it, but that to me is another ideal spot. It's by a cultural landmark, it's next door to it, big windows. Looking through the windows, there's plenty of space in there. So I guess that's about as far as we got looking around. I probed it with my own members and our board, and no one could come up with anything. And then some of our members came in one day and said, hey, there's this great place in Silver Lake. They have a lot of heavy-duty art exhibits there. Why don't we give that a shot? And we did, and it didn't cost anything, which was terrific. It has some drawbacks, though. The entrance to it is way off the street behind this gate, and you need huge signs there, which we didn't do an adequate job of to direct people back there. However, in a rambling way, we did look around a bit, Razmik, maybe not enough. I'd like to pursue it some more.
So that's the reason I'm asking. That's one of the things that, when we discuss our duties and what we plan for next year and, all these other issues that come up later on today on the agenda and hopefully in the near future, we will try to see how we could accommodate good organizations like yours somehow to, cooperate and collaborate on certain things. So,
Super.
I'm really hoping that we will accomplish that, and with hopefully with some budgets that we might get, or whatever there is. Again, in the agenda, we will, if you follow, I'm sure we will discuss those later. I really would like to see, organizations like yours not only to be able to exhibit in this town, but also to thrive and improve and, get, better and better every day.
Great, because we'd like to go a little further with the kind of display, the kind of exhibit we put on. There are other options here in the city. There's people who work in the film business. There's a lot of computer art, good stuff like that. We do small paint-outs. There could be paint-out festivals. There could be quick draw events to support an exhibit. And if we had something like that in the city, that we could explore it with you, some of these other thoughts that make it more of a festival event.
Commissioner Duravanesian?
I agree with Commissioner Gregorian. That's an issue. We wish you would have it in Glendale. But meanwhile, we do understand, and hopefully with the new budgeting and money that might be allocated to the Commission, because on top of my list was the lighting and the installation facilities that our different buildings do not have it. There are not many halls or galleries besides the Grand Library that is well accommodated for that kind of a display. Personally, different organizations have approached for the Civic Auditorium. That is also, it doesn't have the proper lighting, and installation is not easy because they need to have the proper hookup without damaging the walls. They need to have the system. Even the neon art gallery doesn't have that either, because we wanted to do Man's Inhumanity to Man at a given time in that area, but as an art exhibition, and we checked and noticed that whatever was done before, it was done by different organizations, and they had taken the lighting and everything out with them. So they don't have all the installation or necessary parts that any art exhibition could happen, but we hope and we promise that with upcoming future plans, we'll have that as a priority to accommodate our artists, because we definitely want to see people come to Glendale for all the wonderful things that are being exhibited.
Great. I hope you succeed with it.
Commissioner Deaver?
I just have a question for staff, actually. Certainly, we are compiling a list of locations to go with the art and public spaces that we were doing through the Parks Department. Do we have an idea of when that compilation and when all of that will be done? And my second question is whether or not there is a current list, or is it possible to get a list within the city of city-owned properties that, such as where the Museum of Neon Art's going into, things that we could consider in the future for public use, municipal gallery, performance type of space for smaller, I don't want to say smaller organizations, but organizations with smaller budgets that can't necessarily lease, say, the Alex Theater or some of these other facilities that are out there at more market rates and slightly reduced rates?
I'm Cindy Cleary, Director of Libraries. I'm just getting up to speed, but my understanding is that there is a draft policy related to exhibiting art in the parks arena. I didn't suggest that we put that on the agenda this time because I really wanted us to transition. But my suggestion at some point is to look at that in the context of the entire city, and see if there are other city organization, as opposed to the entire city of Glendale, see if there are other venues where we can display art. And that's something that I'd like to discuss at a later time.
Without going into a matter of discussion, it's not on the agenda, and I don't want to kind of go beyond the scope of what we have right now. I remember having discussed this issue of lighting at the Civic Auditorium in the past, and also making some suggestions, or at least ideas, that some of the city facilities would be nice to have kind of multi-purpose functions. So having said that, again, I don't want to get into discussion right now. However, I would really like to see that happening. I would really like to see maybe some kind of an update or some kind of an estimate of what is going to cost to convert some of the city facilities into multifunction facilities. And that way, we will definitely at least try to mitigate the situations that we have been in the past. So, maybe it's an item agenda, maybe it's a policy agenda, or whatever we have to do. I would really like to see that happening. Some kind of an estimate of, changing. And I'm sure Mr. Duran, who is also in the audience today, the Director of Parks and Rec, will recall this conversation that we had about the Civic Auditorium and also about the Adult Recreation Center. If we can, these are facilities that we could probably utilize more. And I would like to see that.
Very good suggestion.
Okay. Any other comments?
No, great suggestion, because that would lead more towards the direction that we are looking.
Okay, great.
We appreciate so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. For the fall event, I'm going to come back and invite you all to it.
Wonderful. We look forward to that.
We are looking forward to that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, at 3D, Children's Art Exhibition in Glendale, presented by Sylvester Williams.
Howdy.
My sincere greetings to everybody here. I thank you for granting me the opportunity to express myself with the Children's Art Show. Thank you, Rep Samay. I appreciate it very much. What is it like that what is it about that I would like to present here to you? It's a Children's Art Show. This is the third year for the Children's Art Show. The first year was 2010. It was 19 participants. Last year was 19 participants again. Same time this is going on, prior to that, within a close proximity of time, was the school education, Board of Education was having a children's art show in the school system. So it was too late for them to take part in this show at the church. The place that we chose to have the art show at, the Avenue, is at Glendale Presbyterian Church. The church isn't responsible for the church. It provides a means to show to display the art. This year, what I'm trying to do is advertise. This is a flyer. This is just completed a couple of days ago. A flyer that will be used to promote the show in the newspaper, in the Glendale News Press. That way we can reach more people on a larger volume. This is not a good time of year because a lot of children are out on vacation. They're going to be in different parts of the world. Okay, my purpose of being here is to ask permission from you, the the Commission of the Arts, if we could show display some pieces in the Water and Power Building on the first level, where the couches are around there, where the guard is on duty. And when the guard isn't on duty, she's going to be on break. I'll volunteer to come in and sit in that time period. Because the art needs to be secured at all times. That's the idea. There's other places that you could display, but it's very easy for a person to walk away with the art. It may not be a $100,000 piece of art, but it means a lot to the artist who created it. This art is done by children from age 3 to 17. These are not professional artists. The idea is to give the children a foundation of self-confidence and the ability that they was given when they were given life. Everybody has a talent. They have their talent. It might be writing, drawing, painting, sculpting, whatever, photography. The idea is to give them encouragement. Then from this foundation, to build on that, where they will go into a livelihood. Maybe they will wind up going to Pasadena Community College, Pasadena Art School. You know, some very high caliber art schools here. They can make a good living out of it. Anyway, the idea I'm putting for you, would you consider the space on the in the Waters Building, 411 is the address of the Water and Power Building, to display some art in there on that first level where the couches are. They use that same area for different functions of activities going on, something going on with the Water and Power Building. That's the question.
I have 5 hands going up, including my own. I'll start from the end, Commissioner Gregorian.
Well, I appreciate what you're doing and what you suggested, but I'm not quite sure if that building is under our jurisdiction, and that probably has to be either through the Water and Power or the city management. And if you need our support, my personal feeling is, and I think my colleagues will agree with me, that we will support such an idea, but I don't think we have jurisdiction over that building.
Who do I need to see then?
We can refer your request to the director of Glendale Water and Power, Steve Zern. Maybe at some point you and I can connect and you can give me a little more information, and then we can liaison with him and see if it's even feasible. I'm not sure it's feasible based on the requirement of security. But it's something that we can discuss with him.
Okay. Okay.
So one idea might be the common room of the Glendale Police Department, and that will be very secure. But, I'm not quite sure if you have contacted them or not. But again, we really don't have
I'm
jurisdiction.
not familiar with that room.
You are, I'm sorry?
I'm not familiar with that room.
Well, they are just across the street from here, and you are more than welcome to go and check. And I'm sure they hold a lot of very good meetings and events in there, and that might be something that you are really looking for, especially on the security issue. I mean, where else can it be more secure than the Glendale Police Department?
Okay.
And their community room. But they have I think they have a couple of really nice community rooms in there, and you may try it there also, and it's just across the street on Isabel. So try that also. But again, if you need our moral support, I think personally, and I think I can speak about my colleagues, that yes, we all will support that idea. But whether practically we will be able to do anything on something that is not under our jurisdiction, I doubt it.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for hearing me.
Sure.
Any other comments? Commissioner Deaver, do you want to make?
Yeah, just briefly, just kind of goes to speak of some of the things that we're talking. Hopefully, we'll be talking about in the future, is with regard to places where we can display work. I've actually been through that building and to the police station community space in just sort of my own little reconnaissance to try and figure out what areas could we be displaying work within the city of Glendale and within public structures and such. So hopefully, down the road, we'll have more of a policy and process in place where we can be more instrumental in assisting, as opposed to simply kind of getting people in touch with the right people. But thank you for coming.
There's not such a thing as a place where...
Mr. Williams, can you approach the microphone, please?
There's not such a thing as a place where people can display art in the city other than going to private areas?
That's, would staff like to answer that question?
Because what I think of is Moran Library, and I check with the library over here, Central Library, and they offer the children's space, which is good for the children. But there's nothing that's regularly available for artists to be able to display their art where there's a viewing audience.
I'm going to direct that question over to Director Cleary if she has a answer for that.
Yeah, and the Central Library is a place that would be appropriate. We don't have a regular program related to art exhibits, but we do have art exhibits in the library. I think we mentioned. I know we mentioned earlier that we are in the process of developing a policy that's related to allowing people the opportunity to exhibit throughout the city, but we're not quite there in as organized a fashion as you're relaying at the moment.
Okay.
So please contact me, and we can talk about some options.
Will do.
As an additional thing, I have a big thing about children's art, and I have been mentioning even a children's art museum here in Glendale. Hopefully that's not a pie in the sky, and hopefully one day it will realize. So what you are doing is great, and I love children's art, but we really have to go through the laborious and long process of getting there.
Commissioner Deaver?
Sorry, one other suggestion, just this is not specific to Glendale necessarily, but I think there are a couple of places that are on there. There's a website called Space Finder LA, and part of their mission is to identify spaces in the private sector that are available, they're not necessarily thought of as art spaces, but they might be, say, in churches or in businesses, in lobbies and things like that, where people are willing to make available their space for arts events and showings. So if you go to Space Finder LA, I don't know how far along they are in the development of their list of things. There are, last I checked, at least a couple of places in Glendale that were available. It's another resource.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mr. Williams. Next guest, please.
Next, at 3E, Anzo Gallery of Fine Art, presented by Paul Kimkimian, co-owner.
I don't see him in the audience.
So we'll catch him if he comes back. But I saw that Karina Gregorian walked in, so let's have her come up very quickly, please, Karina. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Karina Gregorian with the Glendale Youth Alliance. I just wanted to take a moment and thank you all for your support with our first annual art exhibit that was held. We really appreciated all of you coming out and supporting us in our efforts. We received a lot of positive feedback, and based on community's response and the artists' involvement, the board has decided to make it an annual event. So we do thank you for that, and we want to invite you to our luncheon that's coming up on July 11th. I believe the invitation is being sent, going around. It's at Anush Banquet Hall, and all the proceeds from the art exhibit as well as the luncheon will go towards employing youth this summer. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer it. We also have some program books from the art exhibit that show all of the art pieces and have bios on all the artists.
Any questions from my colleagues? Karna, thank you so much. Again, we had only positive comments and support for GYA. I'm repeating what we, kind of summarizing what we said to Ms. Haji Manukian. We're here to support you guys, so
Thank you. We really appreciate it.
We appreciate all the hard work that GYA does for the community.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
Item 4, oral communications. Discussion is limited to items not on this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. Commission may question the speaker, but there will be no debate or decision. Staff may refer the matter for investigation and report.
I have one card, Ida Navasargan.
Good afternoon, Commissioners Deaver, Commissioner Derhovanesian, Commissioner Gregorian, Kevanyan, and Commissioner Lee. My name is Ida Navasargan, and I'm here on behalf of my mother, Alice Navasargan, author of the book, The Immortals, to announce that there will be a formal book opening Thursday, June 28th, under the auspices of Archbishop Hovnan Derderian at the Western Diocese of the Armenian Church in Burbank from 7:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. There will also be another book opening on Friday, July 20th at the Armenian Society of Los Angeles in Glendale. You are cordially invited to attend the book openings and be amongst the first to preview the book, The Immortals. I'd now like to read you a short message from Professor Alina Pavlavanyan of the Music Academy of Yerevan in Armenia. Alice Navasargan is a true devotee of Armenian art and culture. She consistently and most diligently collects information on outstanding Armenian artists, writers, political and public figures, merchants, manufacturers, and representatives of celebrated families. In 1997, Alice Navasargan published her first book, which was entitled Golden Bridges, 20th Century Armenian Artists. The book is dedicated to painters born or living in Iran, and it contains biographical data about them as well as color reproductions of their paintings. 2 years later, she produced another book, Armenian Women of the Stage. The study provides illustrated information about Armenian women, performers, actresses, singers, and instrumentalists over the past 150 years. Now we have Navasargan's third book, unique for the impressive list of eminent personalities it spotlights, the fascinating historical information it offers, and the long period of time it covers from the 12th century to present day. The book captivates the reader. It contains remarkable pages portraying the great medieval physician Mkhitar Heratzi, 12th century, and 16th century historiographer Arakel Davrizetsi, the best Armenian translator of Shakespeare, Hovhannes Maseyan, and other distinguished Armenians, such as the merchants of New Julfa, who were quite powerful and well known not only in Persia, but also in the Caucasus, Russia, and Europe. Alice Novosargian has also given an account of the activities of Persian Armenians in Venice. She has put a special emphasis on the story of the establishment of the famous Murad Raphaelian School, where many artists, writers, military commanders, and public figures studied. Now I'm going to go through a PowerPoint presentation very quickly. Thank you. This is just a description of the upcoming first book opening in Glen Oaks, but as I mentioned, on July 20th, there will be another book opening here in Glendale, just across the street at the Armenian Society of Los Angeles. Again, that other book opening will also be from 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. This is a painting by renowned Armenian artist Hovhannes Ayvazyan, also Ayvazovsky, as he's more commonly known. The book travels back to biblical stories, makes references to some old ancient Armenian folklore and tales, and some mythology as well. It's also a historical book dating back geographically and includes over 1,500 paintings, photographs, and pictures that my mother collected over 15 years. And here's an example of some of the individuals that are showcased in the book. This is an example of 3 generations of generals, dating from 1780 all the way till 1953. Grandfather, father, and son. And some living as well. As well as documents some of the beautiful architecture and various churches that have been built throughout Iran and neighboring countries. This is Alice's first book, published in 1997, and her second book 2 years later. And that's my mom. Thank you.
Well, I would like to say that, we really cherish. It's so wonderful that people like your mother take it upon themselves to introduce a culture. Especially in Glendale, there has been this great influx of immigration from all over, and Armenians, we are making a very large percentage. And it is such a big task to take upon herself, that to introduce, so that when we are embedded in this culture, people would know that where we are coming from and what is the background, what is the historical value of the people who are here, who have made this country their home, yet they have come with a heritage and with a story that is valuable. So it is a big task, it's a great job, and she has done so beautifully. She's a philanthropist. She is a person who has dedicated her life in literally researching into all of this information and getting all the people, and she supports so many artists. So this is phenomenal. Thank you very much on behalf of the Commission and on behalf of everybody in this community for the hard work that she does. And thanks for coming here and inviting all of us to this event.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gregorian.
One of the things that I have the highest appreciation for the very hard work that your mom does, Miss Alice Novosargian does, is, in addition to everything else, is the fact that she, as a woman, took this task of introducing all these women artists and, poets and all these in the past more than 100 years, especially in those Muslim countries where even today women mostly don't have enough rights or as much rights as men have. So to introduce those conditions that those women artists and actresses and, stage performers and all the other ones, that, to introduce those hard work it needs just a huge task and a huge commitment. And it is completely admirable. I cannot say anything less than 100% admiration and, even amazement on how difficult it is to go and do research all this and introduce. And let's not forget that these are the times when these artists who were performing on the stage were doing in an area where women didn't even have the right to come out of their homes or do anything other than produce children. So it's just, I think if you look at it in that historical and in that particular geographic context, the work that your mom has done to introduce this becomes even more important, tenfold, maybe a lot more than that. So, I just have to say that.
And we really appreciate all that insight, and the fact that this commission can appreciate these types of works is a lot. Thank you very much.
I need to add on, when we want community to cohesiveness, when we want people to work together, to live together happily, we need to have an understanding. For better understanding, there should be a better introduction of all the different ethnicities and cultures and the diversity that exists in the community. So doing that blends in the people. People would have more respect. When you have a better knowledge and understanding of people you work with and you deal with, it creates a better kind of a relationship and more cohesiveness. So that is on the social level also, besides doing the historical value of the work or serving all the people who have been so great and done different things in the world. It is in this existing community to help people understand each other so that they could have a better life with all the people who live with different cultures. It is a major, major step, so thank you.
Thank you again.
I would also like to add, my colleagues mentioned about the cultural values of a work like this. Just the work involved in getting all this information is just incredible. Before I finished my degrees here, I was at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, where everything was focused on how to gather information. And I had teachers there who discovered Mozart scores from basements of people's houses. And so to find some of these items that are, the window in which to find these is very, very small. And I don't think sometimes people just go, oh, somebody just put a book together. But it's about that finding that information is sometimes impossible. So I really commend your mother. It looks to be incredible already just from your presentation with the pictures and everything, and I'm very much looking forward to being at the event.
Thank you. We're excited to have you all there.
In the future, we want the musicians and getting in touch with our conductor and the great musician we have on our commission to get another series of all the famous musicians and poets and artists in that direction, maybe.
That would be an interesting idea.
I think you've inspired the next one.
I'm doing public relations for him.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
so much for sharing. Next item, please.
Next item 5, business agenda. At A, discussion item. At 5A1, review revised ordinance of the Arts and Culture Commission relating to the powers and duties of the Arts and Culture Commission.
First of all, I'd like to say I misspoke earlier. I introduced myself as the Director of Libraries, and I am now the Director of Library Arts and Culture. Old habits die hard, so once again, I have to keep reminding myself of the new title. As you know, on May 1st, the City Council unanimously agreed to several things that we're all very excited about. One was to transition the Arts and Culture Commission from the Parks Department, Community Services and Parks Department, to the Library Department. And while the Parks Department has done a tremendous job as the administrators of the Arts and Culture Commission, staff felt and recommended that we transition it to the library with the thought that our mission and our goals were more closely aligned with the goals of the Arts and Culture Commission. In addition to that, we were renamed. My organization was renamed from Library Department to Library Arts and Culture Department, and that once again is in recognition of the changing roles of libraries in our community, not just as a depository of books, but as community centers with art programs, literary programs, all sorts of cultural events. So I'm very delighted to be part of this commission and excited with the work ahead of us. For the benefit of the community, we thought that it would be a good idea for everybody that hasn't heard about this transition to talk a little bit about the other thing that happened as of the May 1st meeting, which was the revision to the powers and duties of the Arts and Culture Commission. And to that end, I thought I would read what those are at the moment. The powers and duties of the Arts and Culture Commission shall be to plan and provide by regular reports to the Council for the Arts in Glendale, to promote art activities and education, to serve as an advisory group on arts and culture policies to the Council and city boards and commissions, to advise the policy on the need for inclusion of and the role of arts in economic development, to reinforce the city's identity and civic pride through arts and culture, to recognize and promote the importance of arts in the city's quality of life, to perform other duties as may be imposed upon it by the council by ordinance or resolution. Also in the council report in May, it was stated that the Arts and Culture Commission will provide a voice for the arts in the city of Glendale through the following activities: play a leading role in developing and recommending to City Council policies that will engage all city departments in integrating art into their projects and activities. Develop and recommend policies related to the Urban Art Fund, serve as the advisory arm for the distribution of the Urban Art Fund. Recognize and promote the role of arts and culture in economic development, and promote activities related to the arts and culture in the city organization and throughout Glendale. And I think that perhaps the most significant change to the powers and duties is the enhancement of your responsibilities in policy development. And I think over the next several months, we will be working together on some of those policies, and particularly related to the Urban Art Program and the Urban Art Fund, which we'll be talking about later on in the agenda. So once again, thank you for welcoming me to the Commission. I'm excited about the work ahead.
Thank you. Next item, please.
At 5:18.
Oh, I'm sorry. It is a discussion item, so if my colleagues do have anything to discuss, I figured that this was just going to go right, into the books, this little presentation, because we have a retreat that we're going to talk about next to figure out what we're going to discuss. So if there's any immediate questions, I guess not. Next item, please. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Lee, I didn't see your hand up.
I just see our new city manager. Does he want to say a few words about our new roles?
If you're asking.
That's not putting you on the spot, is it?
Good afternoon.
Okay, tell us,
members.
Scott, tell us.
I just was dropping in, as I'm apt to do from time to time. Good to see you, sir. And good to see you all. We just had a meeting last couple of days, and so I look forward to getting together with everybody, kind of one by one, really to explore what you see as the future of the Commission, working together. I'm so excited to hear that you're going to have a retreat to really pull together the vision of this Commission. It's very important to us. What I really want to just say is thank you very much. Thank you for working with us, but also in supporting this transition. I think now that we are really pulling ourselves into alignment, sky is the limit for what we can do, and really the only limitation is what our own imaginations will allow us to do for the betterment of the community. So thank you very much. And I just wanted to be a fly on the wall for today and see how y'all are doing. So, thank you very much.
Mr. Achwar.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
I would like to say you are an exceptional leader, and I think what you did here today, coming to welcome us and new whatever we have established with the library, is phenomenal. Your leadership is going to be cherished, and we promise you that we are going to take this city and the art and culture of this city to the heights that you cannot even imagine.
Thank you very
Just
much.
having your support and having good leadership here we have, and staff and etc. So I'm sure that we'll get there. Thank you very much for coming.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Commissioner Gregorian.
No, Scott, I'm okay. Thank you. I really, I just second what my colleague just said. I don't want to repeat it. But my question was from Ms. Cleary. The role of the commission was discussed, and you just read the ordinance, et cetera, and it was mentioned that we are going to have a retreat later on. My question is, are you or if you are aware, if the City Council is going to also consider what we come up with, our ideas or suggestions or whatever on the role and whatever is expected of us, and if possible, whether they are even open to change the ordinance to reflect a little bit of our views from this side of the dais also.
I guess my best answer to that is that I can't answer it right now until we go through the strategic planning process. We'll need to go through the strategic planning process. I'll need to get more input from all of you in terms of what direction you see, what changes you might want to see, and then if it's appropriate, then we'll bring it back to council.
I am and I have been an advocate of collaboration between arts and culture and the libraries, and I'm really excited that this change is happening and, we are improving. But I want to make sure that since Mr. Duran is here, we wouldn't let him go. He has been a wonderful, outstanding director and a very big supporter of the Arts and Culture Commission, and I just wanted to mention that and appreciate him and his role. And also, I wanted to say that, we need his help and guidance in many things on this issue. So I hope that he can also have an input in this strategic planning or whatever we do in the future.
And I'll echo what you said, but I will also say that the Parks and the Library Department, Library Arts and Culture Department, works hand in hand on a lot of issues, and Jess and I are often in communication about many things beyond the Arts and Culture Commission, so I expect continued collaboration.
It's very exciting times. I'm really looking forward to, enhancing our role and whatever we do for the community.
I would like to add on my perspective on what Commissioner Gregorian said. So since, based on this ordinance and based on all the discussions, since we have that advisory role to the council, and meanwhile, we are working with the department, that means with the Library and Horticulture Department, I assume that you would be our spokesperson. That means whatever is being discussed, because we have two ways to work on this. Either we could directly talk to the council people and our councilman and council lady and discuss our issues, or we could talk to you and we could process it and make sure that everything goes. So I suppose in our retreat we'll find which direction would work best, because we definitely want to make sure that we are working hand in hand with the city to make sure that things happen, and we would be at the level that everybody is expecting art and culture of this city to be. And now that with this new move, we have come to a kind of an ideal situation, I assume. So I believe the idea is that we want to make sure that exactly what is discussed or whatever is proposed with strength and power and with everything would be delegated and delivered in the reports. Or you could tell us that, you would like us to report it directly to our council people. So that, I think, would be kind of finalized in our retreat that we get together. Because the idea is we are here to advise.
Any other comments about the ordinance? Okay. Next item, please.
5A2, Proposed Arts and Culture Commission Retreat.
It was requested by our chair, Mr. Cavani, that we organize a retreat to discuss the strategic direction of the Arts and Culture Commission. I think that's something I understand that you wanted for a long time. And we want to do it in the context of the revised powers and duties of the Arts and Culture Commission. The recommended purpose of the retreat is to review the revised ordinance, evaluate the current work plan in the context of the revised ordinance, and develop a strategic plan that reflects the newly revised powers and duties of the Arts and Culture Commission as outlined in the ordinance. And at this time, the chair may direct staff to move forward in organizing that retreat.
And actually, if none of my colleagues are opposed, I would like to direct staff to begin working on the process to organize a retreat.
But as soon as possible, because it's a long time that community and even council people or council members, I don't know how to address them because there's a lady councilman doesn't work, they're expecting things to happen, and community expects, because we are representing the community and we are appointees of the council. So the sooner the better. So we would show that with these new changes that we have, we are already on the way, because if it's postponed, again, we have waited for too long. So hopefully this would be done as fast as possible.
If I may add, we did have to kind of wait till the dust settled, kind of as to which, and also to figure out which way the wind was blowing. So
This is for months. I'm not talking about the recent changes.
Right.
This is for maybe a year we are talking about.
Right.
This. So.
But I spoke with both Director Cleary and with Ms. Marashian, and we have some plans to move things forward in a swift fashion, and there's surprises down the road, hopefully, and they're good surprises. So
May I add that it's of the highest priority to me.
absolutely, yeah.
Thank you.
Do we have any time frame?
Well, it seems like I'm going to be out of town, and I'll be back in August, so it will have to wait until the second week of August.
So let's do it while you're away.
Right? Have a party without me. No surprises.
Yes.
No surprises.
No, actually,
I'm used to that.
one of the questions that I have is on the minutes of the March 15 meeting that we just approved, item number 6, second bullet point, we referred that the Arts Roundtable discussion meeting that we held with some community organizations at the Adult Recreation Center, I'm sure my colleagues will remember that, very fruitful and interesting meeting. And in the second bullet proof, it says that Chairperson Kevanyan asked if a follow-up report will be brought back to the Commission, and Ms. Marashian replied that staff will come back with a report at the April Commission meeting. Yes, April Commission meeting did not occur, and neither did May, neither did, no. Okay, that's it. May and April. June is occurring, and we don't have that staff report. And again, please don't take this as a criticism, but I'm going to ask this question. Number one, if that report is ready or if it's going to be presented. And number two, the question is whether this report will also be part of the retreat that we want to discuss and see what the community organizations expect from us.
Commissioner Grigorian, I'm sorry.
Yeah, let me just interject and say that the reason it's not on the agenda at the moment is the transition, and I will fault myself for that, and not being as integral to the process a couple months ago. So we will make sure that it's on the agenda next time, and yes, I anticipate that we will use that as part of the strategic planning process.
I think that's very important. It is very important for us to know what the community and the community of artists and organizations also expect from us.
Commissioner Deaver?
My first thought was that August seems so far off, but frankly it's not. And what I'm wondering is, in the interim then for the July meeting, if we can have on the agenda so that we can put a framework around which we will be discussing the strategic planning process, because if we go in without some sort of framework and the appropriate documents for us to review prior to that, I'm afraid that it will just be endless and fruitless. So I'm hoping that perhaps if staff maybe can come back to us with some recommendations, and or we can provide some thoughts about things that we think will be appropriate for that meeting so that we can be efficient.
Most definitely.
Wonderful.
Any thoughts on dates yet in August?
I'm going to let staff handle that.
When will you be back?
At this point, I will be back August 8th.
Okay. The first week of August sounds good to me.
It's going to be August 9th, I promise you.
Yes.
I have a bad feeling about that. I won't be jet lagged, don't worry. I'll have...
With souvenirs. Don't
Yes.
forget. Representing the culture of Italy.
I was going to get to that at the end, but that's okay. You ruined the surprise.
I'm impatient.
I'm not opposed to any of the discussions happening while I'm gone. I will be watching from my hotel room in Italy. Because GTV6
teleconference.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Well,
Skype?
Yeah.
well, those are promises. We have to see if we can deliver it. Italy would absorb you so much.
I'll videotape myself watching the meeting, and then we can all watch that. Commissioner Lee?
Are we leaning more toward a weekend or weekday? The only reason is
I think it would have to be because we're going to need to, having done past retreats, we need a lot of time. We're all creative people here with a lot of ideas, so I think it's good to have a lot of time to air it out.
Well, probably we'll discuss this next month when we are finalizing it, and also we need to know the format and these topics that we want to discuss.
Right.
I think this is a good homework for all of us for next month, and the chair is going away with it, but
right.
We will do your hard work for you.
And I want to preface this by saying that so that we are not to confuse one with the other. Within the next 6 months, and I talked to staff about this as well, I'm hoping before my chairmanship is over that we will also have a retreat specifically for the urban art project, just to discuss that.
So you're anticipating 2 retreats?
Yes, but let's one before the other. Strategic planning first, and then the urban art.
Why can't we include one in the other?
It will. I think we've all worked together for long enough that we can kind of all anticipate how long just the strategic planning is going to take. We may even need 2 days for the strategic planning.
Yeah, but, to me, for any strategic planning to be fruitful and productive, the funding and financial part of it is a major, major issue. So when we know exactly how things need to be procedurized with public funding, then I suppose the rest of the things would fit in better. So somehow I do not see one being before the other. If one has to be before the other, it should be the public arts and financial part of it.
So the urban art program. I'm not opposed to either way. I think even in talking with staff, we kind of had the chicken before the egg conversation, and it doesn't really hurt my feelings either way. So
I really don't care personally which one comes first, but I don't think you can have a strategic planning discussion without taking into consideration the Urban Art Fund, because that will be how we play out our goals. So if we set our goals through a retreat process, taking into consideration that we have an avenue by which we can achieve things and some boundaries around that, then you can, in a second follow-up meeting, can put that into more detail about how you are going to implement the strategic plan. So that's what feels more to me is strategic planning and implementation concerning the Urban Art Fund.
Totally fine with me.
I love Commissioner Deaver. I say, and then Commissioner Deaver puts it in a very clean-cut format.
I'm between a rock and a hard place all the time, so it's.
That was exactly how I feel, but I couldn't come up with all the right. Thank you. Exactly. That's basically my absolute thoughts.
Okay, so then what I'm hearing from my colleagues is that we should have as an action item next time to discuss the purview of that retreat. Is that what I'm hearing? Is that fair enough?
That was my question, and I'm glad you mentioned it, yes.
Perfect. Any other comments?
You mentioned you're out of town. Are you here for the July meeting? Or?
No, I will not. I will not be here. But
That's why we love to discuss.
That's exactly why you guys can discuss whatever you want.
Just wanted to confirm that.
Mr. Grant, when are you on vacation? No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. Okay. Can we have the next item, please?
Next item, 5B action items. At 1, approve motion to note and file report regarding perimeters of the urban art program.
In addition, on May 1st, when council met to talk about the transition, they also agreed that the Arts and Culture Commission would be the advisory body related to the urban art program. The urban art program engages developers in either contributing on-site public art or in lieu contribution to the city for the purpose of enhancing the visibility of the arts in our community. As a first step in engaging the Commission in the development of programming, and this is related to what you were just talking about strategic planning, related to the urban art program, specifically the 1% in lieu developer contribution, we invited Annette Vartanian from Community Development to review the guidelines that are in place related to the urban art program and were approved in 2010. I'll turn it over to Annette.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Kevanian and members of the Commission. As Cindy mentioned, I'm going to provide you with an overview of the Urban Art Program and the guidelines associated with it. The Council adopted the Glendale Urban Art Program to enhance Glendale's public spaces with unique art, to attract visitors to the city, to engage the community in developing artwork that is truly unique to Glendale, use it as a catalyst for placemaking, and to make our town center more vibrant. And I know some people have questions, well, what is the program? What's the difference between that, the percent for art, the 1%, the 2%? Do we have a 3%? What is it? So essentially, the urban art program is the program, and with that is the on-site art requirement, which is 2%, as well as the urban art fund, which is 1%. And I'll go into what each of these two parts of the program is and the Commission's role associated with it. So first off, what is the 2%? It's essentially a development standard which is in our zoning code for developers to provide public art on site in their development. As an alternative to providing that on-site art, they can make an in lieu payment into equal to 1% of the project value into the urban art fund. Now, some of you have experience with the process of approving artwork in conjunction with private development projects. Essentially, the art proposal is presented in conjunction with the project design. In order to avoid plop art, we encourage the developer to start thinking about providing artwork as soon as they come in to present their project at a staff level. Once that art proposal is developed, the art proposal and the artist information is submitted to staff, and then it is presented to the Commission for your review and recommendation. Your recommendation, the final project design, and the final art plan are then presented to the final design review authority, and that is the City Council Design Review Board, and could potentially be the HPC. We've already brought forward two of these projects. One is the Courtyard by Marriott Hotel, and the artwork was, the artist is Yuri Gevorgian. And then 300 North Central, Michael Hayden is the artist for this. And these are essentially the two projects that have elected to provide the art on site. All other developers have chosen to make an in lieu payment into the fund. To date, we've collected close to $1 million, and that's from about 5 projects. We've appropriated $16,500, and that's for the installation of the Michael Kalish sculpture called Monumental. And we're anticipating an additional $1 million within the next fiscal year. And I'm only calculating projects that are in plan check. So there's a lot of projects in discussion, but we don't want to count those because they haven't submitted for plan check yet. So our guidelines include some information about how the funds in the Urban Art Fund can be spent. It's essentially to pay for art and art programming, performing arts, acquisition of property to display art, and acquisition of property for a cultural facility. And the Commission's role, this is a new role, as Cindy mentioned. Basically, the Commission makes art policy recommendations to the Council. They advise the Council on management and oversight of the fund. And with that is the creation of a strategic urban art plan. And with that, you can then define the appropriation of the fund. Once you decide, well, what is the program going to look like, then you can start appropriating money and then commissioning art and artists based on that plan, and then administering the maintenance and operation of the artwork and the art plans. Next steps. We can report back to the Commission with examples of strategic urban art plans from other cities and jurisdiction, and then you can discuss some of the fund programming. And that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Should everyone listen?
Well, that's all wonderful and great. It's just my question is, and I don't know if you can respond or it's city manager or Cindy, that what happens if before we talk to the public or to the developer, we would have a kind of a meeting with the DRB to see when it comes to installations and art that are connected or in conjunction with any kind of the building or construction. So we would get their professional view as well before we discuss anything with the audience, the developer who comes to this podium. So to me, to get an input on those kind of situations seems almost necessary, but I don't know how that needs to be procedurized. I don't know, was I clear? Could I make myself,
I guess I'm understanding you want to get some feedback in terms of the design of the project before you look at the
Yes,
art
we
project?
don't want if it's an installation or any kind of art that is in conjunction with the building or with whatever there is, we don't want it to be an isolated kind of a thing based on what is the artistic value and historical value and cultural value. There needs to be a kind of a discussion, a little kind of a information and feedback from DRB on how they see this architecturally and planning-wise. What is the scope and perspective? So then upon that, we would give our advisement in the direction of, we like it as community representatives, that we are here for this special purpose.
May I clarify? I mean, you are referring to the 2% process, yeah. So maybe Annette, you could...
Okay, we can look into that. And just to clarify, when projects are taken to the City Council for approval and to the DRB, it's two different processes. So we'll have to look into that and report back and see if that's possible.
It goes first to DRB, correct?
Well, projects in the redevelopment project areas, even though redevelopment has gone away, the project areas are still intact. Well, there's a stage 1 design review and stage 2. Stage 1 just looks at the location, the project massing, the size, not really into the details, colors, is it pretty, is it not? And then based on that, the development team starts really getting into the specifics of a project, and then they bring it back for council for the final review. And in between those two is when the project would come to the commission. But with DRB, a project is refined at the staff level and is generally taken to the DRB for final approval. There isn't a step 1 and a step 2. So we can look into that and report back and see if it's possible to do something.
Thank you, Cindy, for the clarification.
Commissioner Gregorian?
Ms. Vartanian, can you please tell us who currently administers this fund and has authority or jurisdiction over it?
Well, I oversee the fund to make sure all the projects that should be paying the fund that haven't provided the art are paying the fund. But the current entity that's responsible for managing is the commission. So the fund is actually placed with the Community Development Department right now, but it's going to be transferred to the libraries with a new budget year.
So far, the community development has been administering this fund, and you, as a person and representative, are kind of delegated to oversee this. Am I correct on this?
At a staff level,
At
to
the
make
staff
sure
level.
that the funds
Yes.
are collected.
At the
Yes,
staff
yes.
level, okay. With this, the appropriation of $16,500 to installation of the Michael Kalish art piece, can you explain to us how that process went and who approved that art and how it was done? Was it the commission that approved this?
Well, the commission, I believe last year, the commission reviewed the proposal and I think provided a recommendation to the council to accept the donation. At the time that this was taken to the council was the authority over the fund. They hadn't transferred the authority to the commission. So when it was being brought to the council, the artist in the fire department stated what the cost was going to be to install the artwork. So I presented the report asking whether or not the council wanted to accept the artwork, and if they did, this was the cost of installing the artwork and whether or not they wanted to appropriate that money.
So basically, the $16,500 was approved by the city council?
Yes, it was.
Okay. That, so far, so good. I just want to clarify all of this. I don't want any things. But in the future, the remaining $958,000 plus the anticipated $1.1 million will be going through the Arts Commission, correct?
Correct. Well, the commission would be advising the council on how to appropriate that money.
Okay. Do we currently have any other projects that the community development is working on that you expect to come in front of the Arts Commission?
Go ahead.
Yeah, if I may, in this transition, I think what Council is saying to the Arts and Culture Commission is that it's in your authority now to come up with a process for approving the appropriation of this fund, which means that we need to as part of the strategic planning process, come up with a means and a process based on the guidelines that are in place of, your role, and as well, and the meatiest part of this is developing a strategic or an urban plan. How do we want to spend the money? Public art? Do we want every year? I mean, I think what most cities do is every year they say, okay, these are our goals. We want to do X, Y, Z, and then, either through a grant process or some other kind of process, allow the commission to have oversight of that. We're planning next month for Annette to come back and talk about what other cities do and how they manage these kinds of funds.
Okay, that's wonderful. So basically, right now, we, in that retreat or in the future, whatever the process is, we will be the ones who would recommend policy to be approved by the City Council.
Right.
Okay. And on this GATE program, I believe that we have spent something, if I'm incorrect, please correct me, something in the region of about $63,000 for some of the displays and things. Is this true?
Correct. It's actually now $80,000 to close out the program to finalize the insurance. So that was the first year of operation. That basically the GATE program has come to an end, or the funding has been. We've used up the funding, and the next step, the council directed staff to, after you've developed the strategic urban art plan, to bring it back to you to decide whether or not GATE is a type of program that should continue using the urban art fund.
Okay, so what I understand is that GATE program is being closed, but we spend almost $80,000. Where did that $80,000 come from? Out of this fund?
No, that was redevelopment.
That was a redevelopment.
It was
money.
redevelopment funding, and
Okay.
so if the commission chooses to continue it, it would they could use the urban art fund.
I see. Okay, all right. Thank you. Thanks. You've been very informative. Thanks.
I wanted to discuss about something which I don't know if it's the place or not, but I talked to Cindy before the commission meeting as well, that since this $900-something thousand, we have to have a source of ongoing funding. We have to look also for grants, but with this same money, if we want to plan and program and have a long-term planning, we need to have a system that this money is being put into use so it produces money as well. Because I know that before, when I was in Glendale leadership, I learned that we have a department or a section, or I don't know how it's done, but City of Glendale is very wise in investing the money that comes into the City of Glendale, investing it in the right ventures that makes money for the city. So we need to be very careful with whatever we do, that this money produces money, because otherwise the community or the developments or the construction might be saturated very soon. And if we want to be an ongoing system of support for the community and for the art, we have to make sure that the system of the money first is put in the right direction. So according to that, they could advise us, first of all, every year how much money we do have to plan. So then according to that, we could set our goals every year or every given period of time on how we want to spend. So I really would like to have somebody to help us and advise us if we want to do that retreat with the money, to see what are the possibilities that city can offer as far as investing this money in the right direction of not losing it, but making it more, or making it an ongoing kind of a budget for commission to know how to support and how to plan and program.
Any other questions, comments? Mr. Deaver?
And this will all come out later, but just for my knowledge, is there both an opportunity to have an RFP process, or are there any restrictions or guidelines in the way it's written now to be able to have an RFP process with regard to how we want to utilize the funds in the future, or just say this amount of funding is available and people can come to us for
the
it?
fund actually, the guidelines include in Section 3 some forms of how you can go select an art or an artist, but it's ultimately going to depend upon the programming that you choose and how you want to spend that money. So, but the guidelines are very general right now, and it can be as specific when you start defining the program purpose and goals.
And Sorry, I had a couple questions. What is there a certain percentage that is set aside or allowable for administration of the fund itself at a staff level?
No, not at this point.
So is that coming out of our general budget for the Arts Commission then?
Yeah. And I am remiss in not mentioning earlier that we were given approval to move forward with the hiring of a full-time position of program supervisor. So we are in the process of reviewing applications so that we can provide more support to the commission.
And remind me, in that, is there the opportunity for grant writing? I don't think you're talking about leveraging funds, for instance. So when you're looking at national funding sources out there, because I saw placemaking as one of the bullet items up there. So there's currently a lot of fundraising of funds available nationally. So I'm wondering if there is going to be the administrative capacity as part of the art fund at all, if the city were to choose to do so, to be able to put together a package that leveraged a variety of different funds to be able to successfully go after other public and or private funding out there.
And that goes back to the strategic planning process, and then aligning that with what our capacity is, staff support and commission support.
Not to reinvent the wheel or whatever, doesn't city have a department or people hired who do the grant writing for the city? Like, because Glendale Unified School District, we had a special, small little kind of a program that we had our grant writers who were writing for all the different departments and making sure based on the needs and et cetera, and was researching, because that's a major task, that they were researching all the time to see what's happening and who's giving money somewhere all over the world, and then directing it towards the district. And we had lots of wonderful programs planned accordingly. So if the city already has that, which I assume they should, we could utilize so that more money would not go, or meanwhile some kind of an administrative adjustments would be done.
Yeah, at this point, each department handles grants
separately
within their own department.
Within their
so
own.
We don't have a centralized grant writer.
Good to know. Thank you.
I had another point of clarification. Just under the 974,000 thereabouts, is that money that is in there? They've all gone through final inspection at that point, so that is solid.
So basically, that money, these are projects that have pulled their building permit, and when they were pulling their building permit, they had to pay with a 1%.
Okay. And do we have an estimate of other things that are potentially in the pipeline down the road? I understand if things fall apart.
I think there's a couple more projects that are coming, large-scale projects that are being processed through community development, but haven't gotten their final approvals. But, we don't include that because until they get their final approval and submit for plan check, it's still...
Sure. Just curious.
Yeah. There are a couple larger projects.
Hopefully, with the economy improving, we will have this, coming. And please clarify again: these funds are for the downtown specific plan area only, or they are for across the city?
It's a citywide program, so the funds can be spent in the city.
That's wonderful. I just wanted to make sure that it's stated clearly.
Commissioner Lee?
Yes.
Does your section have any proposals for any use of those funds? Any programs you guys you guys introduced the GATE program? Is there any other programs that you have in mind? This way we can get a head start if there's other things that we're looking forward to doing.
I think the message here is you're guiding the course from this point on. That's probably the best answer to that question.
All I can say is that after seeing this message, now that I'm driving all along Glendale, whenever I see a big empty lot, a big smile comes on my face, hoping that this would be money for us to spend.
And once again, you continue in your role as advisory to City Council, but you have the authority to guide the course and make those recommendations.
I couldn't help notice that I think it was in the report, that one of the hopes, I guess, of council was, or definitions for cultural planning, for cultural facility, specifically referenced the ALEX. And of course, we can think of a variety of other ways of utilizing those funds as well. But given that, I'm just curious, is there anyone that can provide us with an update with regard to the ALEX? Because the last I heard, just in terms of their fundraising campaign, they were really selling it as they're still sort of in legal battles with regard to redevelopment and where it was going to land or be sold, and I didn't know how much of that was literal and how much was fundraising, and I'm just curious what the update is on
Well,
that.
the ALEX is actively fundraising because they are trying to do some CIP projects. Some of those project funds, I think, were recently approved by the Department of Finance so that they can proceed, but I don't know the full details of the project, and I can send Cindy an update, and she can send it via memo if you'd like, just so you know exactly the status of the ALEX right now.
I would be curious to know that for the future.
And I'm sorry, back to the question about is there anything else in the pipeline? I did forget to mention that at the city council meeting, I'm not sure when, a couple weeks ago, there was discussion about using some of this fund to continue the GATE program. We didn't bring that back to this particular meeting because we wanted to update you first on what your role was and what the guidelines are. But we will bring that back probably before we develop an urban art plan, just because we've been directed by council to do so. But that, as far as I know, is the only other thing the only thing that's been suggested by council.
Yes. I have another question on page 7, under item number 2. It says the value of the proposed art shall be determined by a public art consultant. Whom do they have in mind by public art consultant?
Can you tell me what page it is on?
Page 7.
Is it on page 7? Let me check.
And what item?
Page 7 under the Glendale Urban Art Program guidelines, the big thick one. Page 7 under item number 2. Under D, item number 2.
It's a third paragraph from the top.
Okay, I'm looking at a different version of it, so my page numbers are...
Generally, you don't need to go...
Well, basically, for the developer's obligation, we have a list of about 10 independent public art consultants. This is a list that was compiled by contacting cities like Santa Monica, Pasadena, and who they use. So when a developer says, well, I'm providing art on site, it's really 2%. Well, we don't, although we do trust our developer, we want an independent party so they can pick any of those consultants that are on that list to value the art and to just basically confirm that the artwork is really 2%.
So we use outside consultants, we pay them.
Well, actually, the developer can use a portion of their 2% to pay that consultant to evaluate the art.
Thank you.
Commissioner Deaver?
One more question. I think this has already been answered, but the funds can be utilized both, or be given to both a public or a private entity. Is that correct? Like if the Department of Water and Power, say for instance, wanted to do some sort of art thing, and we had that in our strategic plan for the urban plan, could they be?
It's not spelled out if it has to be private or nonprofit. Again, that's going to be up to you if you want to make it specific in the plan or not.
So whenever we want to discuss about the artist and the art plan selection, you have all these different possibilities that it could be an open competition, it could be limited competition, etc. Would that be the choice of the commission to make that decision?
Correct, yes.
Because we do not want to, because this is a major task, and we want to make sure that the public knows that we are very fair, and whatever we do, it is very inclusive, and we have considered all the different, let's say, art organizations and etc. when we have made a decision, and the decision has been kind of the one that needs or has to have for different purposes. Okay, thank you. That's very good. Thank you.
Just one last question from Ms. Cleary. You mentioned the GATE program, We are going to get a report on what it is and how it is, et cetera, right? So can we please include, what GATE program, all the exhibitions that they have done, and how many, and where, and which artists, and what each exhibition cost? I mean, are we going to be able to get that information?
Sure, I can break it down. Basically, the report to the council had all that information, and we didn't have a list of every artist's name, but I can give you as much information as you
Yeah, if you could please. I mean, I don't really want to put a lot of, pressure or strain on your workload. It's just, I think it is important and interesting for us to know that each one of these events, what they cost, and where they are, and let's say how many patrons attended it, et cetera, because we really have to do some kind of a cost effectiveness and see whether that $80,000 can be used somewhere better, so to speak, or that program is good as it stands. So I would really like to have that detailed information, please.
And I would like to have how many locations offered to give us the space, because I want to see if this kind of, it's an ongoing thing. We have lots of open spaces and show rooms or buildings who want to have this kind of a program there or not. Because if in the future we want to decide to see if we want to have anything similar to GATE, we have to see that there are many locations who are available who really die to have us go and use the area. So that way we would kind of utilize or even think of different kind of budgeting for those programs. So accordingly we will guide the community.
Okay.
In the interest of time, I would like to press on. This is an action item,
So I move to approve the motion to note and file the risk report.
Is there a second for that?
Second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Commissioners Deaver?
Yes.
Terhovenessian?
Yes.
Gregorian?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Chairperson Kavanian?
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Vartan. Thank you very much.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you for the report. Great job.
Add 5B2, approval to extend nomination period for the Diamond Awards for Achievement in the Arts until July 15, 2012.
Finally, it's my turn.
You've been very quiet today.
I know, after 2 months of break.
Well, we are settling the dust.
She's coming out of hibernation.
Hey, we have prepared an informational report for you to give you an update about our Diamond Awards for Achievement in the Arts nominations. As it was stated at our April Commission meeting, we have sent out the press releases about the Diamond Awards, and the deadline for the nominations was May 25th. As of today, we have received 22 nominations covering all 6 categories. We have 4 in Young Artist categories, 3 in Artist categories, 1 in Lifetime Achievement category, 8 in Arts Organizations, 3 in Community Partner Business, and 3 nominations for Community Partner Individual categories. As you can see, only the Lifetime Achievement category is the one that has 1 nomination, and we believe it's an important category. Therefore, staff recommends that we extend the deadline for the nominations until July 15th. That's another 3 weeks in order for us to have also this category played during the selection period. At the same time, we would like to get a direction from you to give us the green light to go ahead and start with organizing the judges panels meeting. Most probably it will take place sometimes in July, around mid-July or early August.
Yes.
It's a very good suggestion to kind of give us a little bit more timeline, because I have had many people from the time I've come back that people somehow they are in hibernation or something, and all of a sudden they have noticed that, oh, there are so many wonderful people in the community and artists that we want to recommend, and what should we do, and etc. So this would give us a leeway, so we would do it with full force, and we'll have be as inclusive as possible. So that timeline sounds very good.
I know the commission has been very encouraging and has been promoting this event throughout the city and asking people to nominate, their favorite artists and art organizations. Some of these organizations, total of 22 nominations we have received, but some of them got more than one, 8, 10 nominations. So it will be great to see the Lifetime Achievement category also gets enough nominations.
Sounds good. Maybe in the future it would be a gala or gala event, along with all the evening gowns, and people, celebrities will come to our town, participate in the Diamond Awards of the City of Glendale. Why not? We need to think big. Why not? You see, he liked it.
So you already know how to spend the money in there, right?
Well, last time it was a very nice
was.
reception at the
Yes,
Embassy
it was.
Suite.
A very good one.
My question is, I'm sure if you're recommending, the staff can pull this through, correct? Yeah, since you are recommending, there is something, it's not going to put any extra strain on staff or any additional work.
We'll go ahead and send another e-blast reminding people about the opportunity to nominate their favorite artist or art organization. And we will ask the commission also to use this 3 weeks time frame to encourage people to make the nomination.
Can we also put a press release to the press, the news press, the local, Armenian, Spanish, Korean, Chinese, Filipino, all the other newspapers and news media outlets, especially the newspapers? Can we have a press release on that?
We have sent out the press releases, and it was on the city's GTV6 bulletin board until May 25th. It was on the Glendale News Press. We used our newsletters and e-blasts. We may try one more e-blast going through the transition and packing and all these logistics. We have only 3 more weeks. We have to be reasonable.
Basically, what I'm asking is, if we approve the extension, can the media be also informed that this has been extended?
Sure, we'll do our best.
Thank you.
It definitely sounds reasonable. Under the new leadership, it's a department, it's a major issue right now. So it needs to be another kind of a public relations.
So I would make the motion to approve.
This is not an action item.
It is an action
I'm
item.
sorry. I apologize.
So I motion to approve to extend the nomination period for the Diamond Awards for achievement in the arts until July 15th.
I second.
Thank you.
Commissioners Deaver,
Yes.
Chair Hovhanessian, Gregorian,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Chairperson Kevanian.
Yes.
5C reports information only. At 1, status report regarding Maryland Avenue Park Public Art Project.
You keep the best to the last, huh?
Since the last commission meeting, we came to the commission with our reports about the Maryland Avenue Park Public Art Project. Since then, we were able to prepare the RFQ. Request for proposal was prepared and publicized throughout Southern California. We sent out the press releases and advertised this opportunity for professional artists who are interested in preparing site-specific artwork, producing artwork for the Maryland Avenue Park project. As a result of our publicity, we received 7 proposals. The next step will be for us to invite the Art Advisory Committee to review the proposals and make a selection. As you know, we already have selected the committee members. It consists of an Arts and Culture Commission member, Parks Commissioner, community member, and staff who will be reviewing the proposals. So once we have, once they select the finalist, we will come back to the commission and get the Art Advisory Committee's recommendation to you for your approval.
Commissioner Deaver?
Question. Having sat on the last one, it seems that we had just a ton of proposals, and this seems a little shy of that. Do you have Any ideas of why that might be? Is it the timing? Is it the amount? Is it?
From my own observations, I think that this is a very small budget project, $20,000, all inclusive. And last time, you're absolutely right, we have attracted more than 30 people, and some of them were major names in the art industry. 7 people, it's reasonable, and they are very interesting proposals. However, it seems reasonable.
Commissioner Lee?
And I'm sorry, one more thing. We have to remember that last time it was a request for qualifications. When you send out requests for qualifications, then many artists would like to show their portfolios, their qualifications. This was an RFP for request for proposals, and we knew exactly what we wanted, and they had to come up with a site-specific design and proposal. And since the budget is a small budget, some artists really don't even want to waste their time on designing, unfortunately.
Thank you for that clarification. I forgot the difference there. Yeah.
Then, just to confirm, that comes out of the Community and Services Parks
Yes.
budget.
Yes, Community Services and Parks Department creates these opportunities for professional artists to do public art. And as of now, it's not a mandatory, we don't have an ordinance mandating CIP projects to have a public art in their public art component in their projects. We salute the Parks Department for giving these opportunities to artists.
Well, looking into whatever is proposed for the urban art and whatever they propose to make this city look beautiful, I do believe that parks have a major role in what we have. So they are doing their job, and we are grateful. As you said, we need to salute and then continue our work with them because they are doing a phenomenal job. And a city is kind of somehow known by its parks, because we don't have, in this country, we don't have like 2,000 years old things or historical whatever for people to see, but yet we do have park spaces that a lot could be done. Coming from the recent trip that I have seen parks that it was like a dream to walk through. And that was kind of the design and the artwork and whatever that.
You will have an opportunity to learn more about the urban art program. CIP projects are not, they are excluded from being qualified for the urban art fund projects. Yes, you will, maybe these are some areas that you will need to study and discuss during the retreat.
Thank you. Good for the information. Thanks for
That's a
doing
good, that's a good
urban art
topic to
program.
include in the discussion on the
It's
retreat.
an urban, it's in the program.
Okay. I think we're all out of questions. Next item, please.
Item 6, Commission and Staff Comments.
Okay. Commissioner Gregorian. I always default to Commissioner Gregorian as soon as Commission staff comments come up.
Okay. We haven't met for this is 3 months, so there are many, many things that happened in those past 3 months, exhibitions and events and all that. I'm going to pass almost all of them, except to say that, the arts and culture activity in the city of Glendale are alive and well and thriving, and even in those very difficult economic times, there are people who open new galleries, who exhibit their work, who still hope and try to make Glendale a nice and beautiful place. And I just wanted to make sure that as a general thing I covered that. I have 3 minor questions from staff that I really need to know, and then make just one announcement for tomorrow. I was reading the newspaper, Glendale News Press, June 16, 2012, which is this past Saturday. And in their political calendar, there are many events and city meetings that are mentioned. And for this Thursday today, there is the one event, and then also the Design Review Board number 2, which starts after us. But the Arts and Culture Commission meeting was not there. So my question is, do they get it? Do they choose what to do, what to put in there, or we contact them and we inform them of this meeting? And I do understand that we are through the transition, and I do understand that we still need to tune in. But I thought it would have been really nice that if we were included in this political calendar for the news press readers to know that we are here and doing our job. So, do you know what happened, why we were not included in there?
I have no idea why wasn't included our Arts and Culture Commission meetings, because we never had that problem in the past. We go through every month when we prepare the commission meeting packets and do the publicizing, it goes to the IS department and they put it on the city's page, and the city management office also calls us, and they did call us to verify the meeting.
So potentially
Must
the
be
news
a
press takes their information from our website, and if that is the case, obviously, we don't have much to do. But if we are the ones, or if these groups are the ones who contact the news press and publicize their meetings, then that is one of the things that we have to do in the future, to publicize our meetings in the political calendar in the news press. So that's one comment. If we can please have this in mind. The second question is, our business cards are still show Parks and Recreation. Are we going to change those?
Yes, you
Right?
will have all these.
That's okay. That's we are going to do that. And
Cindy is a woman of few words and a lot of thoughts. So.
And also, one of the things I think we should do, and again, this is just a suggestion, I don't want to open a discussion or action, it's not an action item, but I think it will be a really good idea if the city council members do receive our agendas and our minutes of the meetings and any important announcement regarding the arts and culture. Because there has been some impression that, the city council, some of the city council members have not really been privy to the activities that we do, and that might create some kind of a misconception of what we do and what else. So I'm not quite sure what the protocol is. Maybe Mr. Grant will help us in that, or maybe Ms. Cleary will. But I would really like to see, if it is possible, if it falls within, the protocol of how the different departments work in the city, I would really like to see that city council members receive the agendas and the minutes of every meeting that we have in their email, maybe, and then it is up to them to read, not read, and whatever else. But I think I would really like to inform them on that.
Well, we have been sending to the City Council copy of our agendas and monthly meeting minutes. The packets that you receive, the hard copies goes to the City Council as well. We do get directions from the City Council if they would prefer to get an electronic version. Council Member Friedman and Council Member Manoukian, they prefer the electronic version, so they get that as well.
Oh, so they do get it?
Of course.
Okay.
And we are very unique in the city of Glendale. When I say we, I mean the commission that sends a copy of the commission package to the City Council every month.
Okay, that's wonderful. That's exactly what I wanted to know. If we are doing it, then that's great. The announcement that I wanted to make, the only announcement, that there is a wonderful organization in the city called Artists for Kids. And many artists come together, they collaborate, and they organize events. And most of the events and the benefits go to kids in the community, basically. And that very wonderful organization has collaborated with us in the past genocide commemoration events and all the other citywide events, and they have done wonderful jobs. And I'm really glad. They were supposed to be here to make this presentation, but I just had a text from one of their members that they weren't able to, so I'm taking that task. Tomorrow night at the Ambassador Auditorium in Pasadena, there is, and with the participation of the Glendale Chamber Orchestra with the conductor, a local Glendale resident conductor, Michael Avedisian. There is going to be an opera night, which is going to include several pieces from different operas and several other folklore and other classical music by the world-renowned singer-soprano Hasmik Papian, who lives in Vienna and has had performances all over Europe with the highest possible praise and admiration for her work and for her interpretation of this opera. I have many quotes in here from the Washington Post, from Le Figaro, from Orpius, and all the other places. I'm not going to go into those. But tomorrow evening, June 22nd at 8 p.m. in the Ambassador Auditorium in Pasadena. Tickets are still available, and if there are people who are interested, they could call 818-802-8222, or they could call the Artists for Kids or the Ambassador Theater for this event. And I've already bought tickets. I'm going to be there. I'm looking forward to it, and I hope everybody, including our commission and our community, will support this. And most importantly, the benefits of this concert go to, this is a fundraising concert to benefit the Juvenile Diabetic Kids Project. So it's called the Juvenile Diabetes Project. So it's a fundraiser, and it's for a good cause. And whoever wants good music and opera should be there. And with that, again, a local artist, a local music orchestra group, and also this comes in the auspices of the Consulate General of the Republic of Armenia, whose consulate is here in Glendale. Unfortunately, we have to take this event to Pasadena because our forums and venues are not sufficient enough. So this is something good for our art fund. But having said that, please don't forget this. Thank you.
Question. Alex Theater was not available, or they are not accommodating?
I have no idea, Commissioner Derwanesian, but I know that this event is tomorrow at the Pasadena Ambassador Auditorium.
Okay. Commissioner Deaver, you're next.
I just want to mention, I know that there are at least two new organizations that I'm aware of in Glendale, one which was not able to present today, Enzo Gallery and Fine Arts. A number of us had gone to the opening there, so we want to welcome them into Glendale, supporting local artists there. I believe it was on Central or Glendale Boulevard?
Central.
Thank you, Central. Also, we have a Pacific Dance organization that's been in the community for quite a while teaching private dance, but they've also started a nonprofit called Ignite, where they're working with youth in the community and through dance and helping youth to become to blossom into wonderful citizens in our community. So I want to extend a welcome to that new initiative as well. That's through Laura Fremont there, who's the founding director of that. And then also finally with the Associates of Brand Library and Art Gallery Center. Sorry, it's a long meeting. They have a number of events that they're starting to coordinate and doing more outreach, doing more on-site events, and a film series as well. They have a tour that's coming up for Robinson's Garden on the 27th, this next week. And then also there is a metro tour, and I'm going to highlight that because I'm actually helping to coordinate that, and actually hoping that some of my fellow commissioners would be interested and/or staff, because it's an opportunity to get a little bit behind the scenes of the metro, Los Angeles Metro, and the public art installations that are a part of that. And so we're picking some specific stops along the way, and I think it gives us some insight about public art in the city and things that we could be thinking about for Glendale. But that's going to be on July 28th on a Saturday morning, and more information will be coming. You can go to the associatesofbrand.org for all of their upcoming events, including the Metro Tour. And
Marashian?
Okay, I would like to make a short announcement. We were able to make an arrangement with the LA County Arts Commission to host the Arts Tune-Up this coming October. The workshop will take place on October 27th, and this year we reserved the Central Library Auditorium for the workshop. So we'll come back to the Commission with more information about this year's topics.
Perfect.
Have you organized that, Ms. Marashan?
Yes, we did. We have done that in the past,
I know,
back
but
in
this year also
2009.
with all the changes and et cetera. Very good. Thank you.
Shirley?
I want to make sure everybody knows about Cruise Night. Cruise Night is coming up July 21. It'll be on brand as usual. There's advertisements going on everywhere right now. So just make sure, join us, Cruise Night, July 21.
Thank you, GTV6.
And truly, I mean, Cruise Night has been a phenomenal night. It's educational, too. Those people who are car lovers, like my husband, last time, I think, Commissioner Gregorian, we were all together, and he was surprised that he recognized so many real, authentic cars from Oldham, whatever, that people who are in Glendale, residents of Glendale, own those beautiful cars, or they brought it for display. So it's a beautiful car show. And meanwhile, it's lots of fun, and families get together. It's a time that you can kind of know who lives in Glendale, who's who in Glendale, walks all around. It's fun time. I've done it every year, and wonderful. By the way, are we going to have a booth there, or we don't? With the Art and Culture Commission. Last year we did.
Usually every year we hold a booth in front of the Alex Theater, but this year we haven't made any arrangements.
Director Cleary?
I'd be remiss, I keep using that word, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention that before I came to the commission meeting today that we actually launched a new product at the Central Library as a result of a corporate grant from 3M. We now have what's called a cloud library where you can access e-books through the cloud. We have 1,200 titles, all contributed by an organization called Khalifa. 3M was with us today. The mayor made a presentation. The other thing we launched, I know we're running out of time, so I won't go into a lot of detail, but the other thing that we launched was a library app. So all of you with smartphones, iPads, whatever, can go to the App Store, download Glendale Public Library, and you have your library at your fingertips. The cloud library, your library account, information about all the arts and culture programs that we sponsor, a Twitter account, a Facebook account, et cetera, et cetera. So check us out, as they say.
Excellent news. What a great idea. Thank
I'm very
you.
excited. I've already downloaded it.
The first 30 people that downloaded a book got a free copy of Snapshot of Glendale.
Oh,
so
I
I will
just
give
missed
that to you. Because you mentioned it, I will send you a copy.
Commissioner Lee, did you have anything else to report on? Sorry, you sparked a whole conversation.
Just add a little bit. I had a short trip, 2 weeks to China. It's a cultural kind of information. I was fascinated with what I saw. I saw the level of dedication that these people have and the love towards their country. It really, I believe, I don't know, that was the impression I got because I talked to the working class people. That was where, my communication was. And they love their country as much as their self, and that was something very impressive. The idea of what they can do for their country more than what the country can do for them was a phenomenal idea for us Westerners. Somehow that's a different concept. And people who had been there like 15 years ago, they could not recognize the city because it was so advanced. When we talk about beautifying the city or making it a center for money coming in and for the economy and the development of all those ideas, I think a tour maybe Ms. Cleary would arrange and the commission and the whole group, we could go to China again because they have so many, they're high rises. They have decorated as such that that's a tourist kind of a center for, it is, Manhattan is like a backstage or back door or an alley compared to Shanghai's.
So let's hold a retreat in China then.
Sounds good. And it's wonderful. It's very important to see how we can, whatever assets we have, we can magnify it, we can glamorize it. And I was telling Cindy, I said, we're not yet out of the first stage. I was telling her maybe we should add tourism to the department as well, because it could bring in a lot of revenue as far as how we could combine the wealth of what we have in this city and into making it more productive for bringing the economy and making the economy that goes on. Kenya. Beautiful. There are shows. By the way, I saw a ballet, an operatic ballet on the water, which was produced by the same producer who had done the Expo, no, not the Expo, the Olympics of the thing 2010 at China. It was phenomenal, like a dream. Anyhow, sorry.
Before GTV6 fires me, I have very quick comments. First of all, tonight, Glendale Young Professionals is holding a meeting slash event at the Alex Theater at 7 o'clock tonight, where our very own Scott Ochoa, who was here earlier, will be the keynote speaker. Secondly, I'd like to thank Emil and John for giving me a tour of Riverwalk. It's coming along amazingly. It's going to look really, really beautiful. If you all have a chance there, try to schedule a meeting with Emil, take you down there. It's really wonderful. And then lastly, as you all know, I'm going to Italy. I will be leaving July 4th and coming back August 8th. I'm hoping to. We'll be going to Salzburg for a day, so I'm hoping to bring you all some Mozart chocolates. That'll be my little gift to all of you. And with that said, next item.
Item 7, written communications.
Do we? By the time I'm done being the chair, I really want somebody to.
We did it last time.
Yeah, there was several times ago, but yes.
For a change, yes.
We do have
communication. I have received an email from the Americans for the Arts. We have the national results for the Art and Economic Prosperity Study 4. We will come back to the Commission with the final report, with the PowerPoint presentation, and reveal the Glendale's numbers about nonprofit arts organizations.
That's exciting.
Very quickly, I want to say the reason why I'm going to Italy. It's not for a vacation. I'm going there for a music festival, and I'll be playing and conducting there. So.
And you will be working really hard all the time, right?
I promise. I swear I will be working. I will do nothing else, and I will watch our meeting live from the hotel internet room. With that said, ciao.